Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Pushek, and this is Yvonne Martinez. She's with me. We wanted to inspire you and encourage you to attend the Northeast Inner Healing Training entitled Healing Heart Trauma and Betrayal. And the best way to kind of give you a vision of what this is going to be like is to bring in our speaker. And Yvonne, you are from Northwestern California, Bethel Redding, and you are an associate director of the Transformation Center, and among many other things, which people can see your bio in this email. So I'm not going to talk about it too much, but I want to start right in with, I love your book that has your testimony called Dancing on the Graves of Your Past. And it is incredible. In 8 pages, you give your personal testimony that is just like, what? And then you go, whoa, wow. Because it is just absolutely mind-blowing how God just healed you, saved you, rescued you, and just did a miracle in your life. I love that you say in this book, you say, I'm not a survivor. I don't have a sad story. Jesus didn't die on the cross and resurrect from the grave so I could survive. I'm saved, healed, and set free, an overcomer called and empowered by God to bring his kingdom to earth. I'm not a victim of my past. And you end up by saying, I have a future and a hope. Can you tell us really quickly just a little bit about your personal testimony?
I sure can. Thank you, Katie, for having this opportunity to be able to share a little bit about me and what we're going to do at your conference. I'm really excited to be able to share with your teams some of the things that I've learned and what I'm continuing to do in that arena of setting the captives free. So I was born in a crazy home with an alcoholic dad. He was very mean to my mom, and I witnessed a lot of the crimes that he did against my mom. In fact, I was asked to testify in court against him when I was about 8 and 9 years old. And because of that, he totally rejected me, said he didn't have a daughter anymore. And so I kind of grew up with that idea that I wasn't loved or really wanted. And so I really looked for love in all the wrong places, sort of a story, a saga of a lot of happens to a lot of young girls. So I married when I was 18, and my husband at that time was unfaithful. He actually left me 6 days after our baby was born, and I ended up being in that lonely spot of, and by that time my mom had become an alcoholic, so I really didn't have a family setting that I could that would really support me through that. And so shortly after that, I got married again. I married somebody else, and he actually was killed 2 months and 13 days after we were married in a tragic motorcycle accident. So here I was with a baby now, 2 marriages behind me, and I was only 23 years old. So everybody said, well, you'll find somebody else. And of course I did. And I found another guy who said that he loved me, but he treated me really bad. And I ended up becoming the victim of a domestic violence and ended up leaving that marriage. But before that happened, I was also the business owner in a shopping center for a store that a man came in the store and raped me at gunpoint. And I think in that same year, then my birth dad, who had rejected me, died. So I had this culmination of my world just closed in. I had done everything I could to feel like I could move forward, and one storm after another. So after the rape in the business, and it was at the front page in the news, store owner raped in shopping center. And it was like this big black spot, on my head about the shame around that. And then I'm in this relationship with a man who is not understanding, and I'm being victimized in that relationship. No real family that I could turn to. And my health was really going downhill. I was working really hard trying to survive. And I was a good girl. You know, I drank a little bit too much, but I basically just had a really good heart and wanted to find somebody who would really love me. But it was around that same time then that when my health was going down, that I was diagnosed with cancer and 5 years to live. So now I'm in my early 20s. I'm diagnosed with cancer, 5 years to live. I'm running 2 businesses. I'm trying to deal with this court battle. The guy who raped me was actually caught. He actually escaped and was stalking me. I had a domestic violence home that I was living in, and I thought, you know, death will be the way out for me. And as it unfolded over the next year or so, I had the courage to leave the domestic violent relationship. The court battle the court battle settled in that the person who had raped me was sent back to prison. And, but then I had this diagnosis. And so it was about that time that I met Tony, and Tony led me to receive Jesus. And it was like, I was like the woman at the well who met Jesus. It was like for the first time in my life. I still, you know, think about that, the first time in my life that I felt loved and wanted and felt like I had hope. And so about a year and a half after that, Tony and I married. And if I bring the story forward now, we've been together 43 years. We adopted 3 children, and I'm 45 years cancer-free. So how all of that happened in that beginning was, you know, was I didn't know then what I know now, of course. And so the first time I shared my testimony, it was a part of Women's Aglow, and they invited me to share my testimony. And I remember feeling so nervous being in the public, still carrying a lot of the shame. Because back in the days in those early 80s, there was hardly any place for women to go and be able to share about what had happened to them. So I was still reaching out, feeling a lot better about who I was, but certainly not where I am now. But in sharing my testimony and the steps to healing, that eventually became the first book that I wrote. I had out of 120 women at that meeting, I had 80 women come forward for prayer. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so it was the catalyst that really launched me into those earlier years of going to church, having women. I think I was a janitor at the church, because I was the one that would stay afterward, and anybody that had a difficult time would find me and corral me in the corner, and we would pray together and talk together. And so eventually I started doing counseling, doing support groups, and just grew. And so here I am now. It's always fun to look back and see what God has done. And I feel like at this season in my life, I've been doing way more training and teaching. I still carry a full caseload as well. I run our addiction program here and Transformation Center, as well as all of our trauma training. And so like with you and your group of people, I'm going to be able to share some really good things about trauma care and about how we can really support people in a fresh way, bringing the power of the Lord and giving people hope. The one thing that I always try to do with every client is to instill some relational equity. It's not about what happened to me. I rarely share my testimony in a session or anything like that, because this is about my client, not about me. But is that relational equity, but that we really believe that that people really believe that we care about them. And when we care about them, they feel that freedom to be open and to share. And so I'm excited to be able to do this 2-day training to really unpack a lot of the skills, but also the heart behind trauma care and how we can really be effective in people's lives today.
Oh, that's so good. And that's why I don't want anybody in Western New York or in these Northeastern states to miss out on this, because you don't come to this area very often. And what you carry is so what we need in this region. You carry a peace that is just so beautiful. And that just really inspired me, because you deal with some of the most extreme cases of abuse and trauma, and just even the exploitation, of human beings. I know when I was there that day, you had said you were supposed to have a meeting with a homeless person. So you have really dealt with the people that are the hardest for us to relate to sometimes, living in such an easy world, but yet you know how to just like let go and or I don't know how you do it. I was going to ask you, how do you do that? Because you're in such peace and yet you're dealing with some of the most difficult situations that we've ever seen.
I think the peace comes from feeling, not feeling nervous around working with difficult people. I think a lot of people have come in and said, I'm going to share something with you. You probably never heard this story before. And I think inside, I probably have. I probably have, and it's okay. So you do build up a bit of a resilience in being able to hear people. I think the most important thing, like I said, is that relational equity, that people really believe that you care. And I do care. And sometimes I just have, 30 minutes, 60 minutes with somebody to be able to impart something or to share something, or really, and I'll share this a lot at the conference as well, is that when I work with people, I only work by invitation. At Transformation Center, Donna De Silva's the queen, but I'm the head princess. So I'm the head princess. And Donna said last week, so I'm going to be doing a training with our team here. And she said, I want to show them what you do. And I said, well, actually, I don't do anything. What I do is I wait for the invitation from my client. And through the course of what they're sharing, I'm able to pick up in their conversation the opening for me to be able to have a place in their life. So that's one of the things that we can't do in trauma care, is to try to do something to somebody. We have to just to be available. And I work by invitation. So when my client begins to, they will give me the cue where I need to go by their level of safety. So the main thing is that they feel safe with me. And if I'm agitated or irritated, then I'm certainly not setting the atmosphere for them.
That's so good. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit, giving us a little taste of who you are, Yvonne. And we just can't wait till the end of September. So it's September 29th and 30th. We're going to have trainings during the day. We are going to open our doors at 9 in the morning and we'll be done at 5. So everybody can enjoy themselves in the evening and relax. But it'll be a good time, 2 days of greatness. And then you're also going to be with us at Vanguard Church on Sunday and speaking for our morning service.
I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, we can't wait. And we just are so honored that you're coming. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm
All
excited to be there. Thank you so much. So at the conference, I really want to share some real skills that people can use in helping people to get set free, and even just to create that relational equity, that there would be opportunity for you to continue to minister to them in the future. One thing I'm excited about is that at the conference, we are actually providing this book for everybody that's registered. This is called Trauma, Sexual Exploitation, and Addictive Self-Harm. I know it's a really big title, but this is a book that I wrote for the leaders when I went to Nepal. I did a week conference there, in that we worked with 48 leaders that were working with girls that were trafficked. And so the information in this book isn't specifically about trafficking, but it really carries a lot of information that would be important for people to know in working with people, clients that would be at risk. I guess you could say it that way. And mainly the back of the book has a lot of handouts and things that you can utilize in your own ministries, such as, for example, the area of responsibility. So many of our clients will think that what happened to them is their fault. But when we really look at, they're not powerful enough to make somebody do something to them. So I have a paper in there that they can actually define what they were responsible for, not responsible for. So anyway, it's just some tangible worksheets that are a part of, can be used in any ministry. So excited to be able to provide that at the conference to everybody who's coming.
Yes. And don't forget all your other books that they're going to be able to purchase too, because you have done a lot of writing
with me.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Katie. Looking forward. Bye-bye.